So what if you want looping animation? For instance, the seaweed. I'm going to make a new layer for the seaweed. And then I'm going to lock my turtle layer. I have an empty keyframe here, a circle. And so in that first free keyframe, I'm going to drag in my seaweed. All right, and I already have my cube pressed, so I'm going to hold Shift and size this down and just position it here. But let's say basically what I want is this to just kind of sway back and forth the whole time, over and over again. Well, if we go in here and we animate it through here, we're going to have to animate it going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And that's going to be kind of a waste of our energy and time. So what we can do instead is we can go inside of this clip, because it's a movie clip, and once we're inside there, we can do the animation from inside. Okay, so I'm going to double click it, or if that's complicated, just double click it over here, and that puts it on a screen all by itself, like this. Okay, so from in here, I'm going to Control minus and zoom out. So here it is, and I want it to sway back and forth. So we're in the middle of this thing, right? See, I'm inside the seaweed. It doesn't say seaweed here anymore. I'm not on the main stage. I'm inside the seaweed graphic. Okay, so I'm going to make this a graphic because we need to have a graphic that we can move back and forth. So I'm going to go to Modify and Convert to Symbol, and I'm going to say seaweed. I'm just going to call it SW, and I'm going to make it a graphic type. Okay, and I'm going to move the registration point to the bottom. Okay, I'm going to hit OK. So there's my registration point. All right, and then I'm going to grab the rotation point, which I need to be on Q for, down here. Okay, because I want it to rotate based on that. So I'm going to start off with it like this way. Okay, and then move over just a couple of frames. And then I'm going to move it the other way. So I'll click back on it. I still have my Q going. Move it over here. Okay, and if you just wanted it to go back and forth, we can add in our tween here. Now again, if I didn't make this a graphic first, you'd get an error here. So if you get an error, don't do that. Like, make this a symbol first. So now that's working. But here's the problem. I'm going to go back to the main stage. If we go here and we try to watch it now, what you're going to notice is this seaweed, it's not moving. And the reason it's not moving is because when we put it in here, we told it that it was going to be a movie clip. And movie clips do not show on the timeline. You can see them when you publish the project. So if I press Control and Enter, it's going to go through and it's going to play it for me. You can't see it, it's in another screen. Okay, so it's like working, right? But it's just not in here. And so let me switch back to timeline. So what you have to do is you've got to change this. I'm going to go to Properties. Instead of a movie clip, to a graphic. Now it's a graphic symbol, and see, now it will play back and forth. But as we noticed, it doesn't run smoothly, right? So again, I'm going to go back to library because it's just a little easier to do it. I'm going to double click it, and I'm going to zoom out again. So what you're going to do now is you want it to return to that first position where we started, right? We want it to return to that initial position. Now, I've got to look and see which thing I'm in here, right? Because I've got a seaweed and I've got a SW, so I need to be on the right one. Okay, seaweed, that's the one I need. All right, so there's the beginning point, there's that midpoint, and what I need is I need to have that same frame here at the end of this animation. So I'm at 0, I'm at 10, and then I need to go to 20. So there I am at 20, and I'm going to go ahead and copy this frame, right-click copy, and you can't use Control-C. Okay, and then come over here and right-click and paste frame. Okay, so now it's in there, so it's going to go back to the starting point, right? But I'm going to have to add in that tween. All right, so now we have beginning, middle, and back. So now it will run smoothly. So part of the thing about smooth animation is your first and your last frame need to be the same. And ideally, you would do this before you even start the animation process, like before you add the tweens. Okay, so now here I am. If we press play on this, it should run much more smoothly. It's kind of going fast, but you get the gist. Okay, so that is how you can create a smooth animation and how to change a movie clip to a graphic clip so that you can preview it on the timeline. Because see, here on the timeline, we don't see all that animation on the seaweed because it's inside the clip.